Welcome to the Corporate Treasury 101 podcast. This is the third and last part of our full interview with Chris van Dijl, where we discuss costs and alternatives to Treasury certifications. Chris is a seasoned Treasury professional with over 25 years of experience. He worked his way up from a Treasury Analyst to Group Treasurer in various countries before founding his consultancy and training firm, Cugavadi. Cugavadi, founded by Chris in 2014, specializes in consultancy and training services for corporate treasury and transaction banking. In the episode of today, expect to learn what is the typical cost associated with earning one of these treasury certifications, what are the tips or advices for managing costs or finding funding supports, are there alternatives to treasury certifications, how do these alternatives compare to the traditional certification route in terms of time, cost, and most importantly, recognition in the industry, and much, much more. Chris is very fun to talk to. This is the last part of our interview with him, and I really enjoyed our conversation. We hope you will enjoy it as well. And if that is the case, and when you think about how you found our podcast or these episodes, chances are that it was through word of mouth, social media, or a recommendation from your favorite podcast platform. And this is our only request to you. The only way we can get more and more amazing guests like Chris to come and share their insights on the Treasury podcast and get more people to learn about Treasury is thanks to you. So if you enjoy what you hear and maybe learn a thing or two, please consider following the show, leaving us a review, or sharing this episode to help others discover it too. With all that being said, please welcome Chris van Dijl. Chris, I think it's time. Let's get into the cost part of it. I'm super curious. So, to ask the blunt question, what's the typical costs of a treasury certification? How much do you pay?
Okay. There's a wide range of pricing as well, depending on where you want to, which certification you want to do. If we look at the Certified Treasury Professional, the Certified Treasury Professional is roughly $1,700 US dollars to get the book, get all the learning materials. If you want to have the learning program, the learning platform as well, it's another $960. So if we add it all up, it's about, $2,600. Plus your annual membership, which is, if I'm not wrong, then they're normally about $400, $500 per year.
Okay.
Now, if we go to the CTP, if you want to start in Treasury and you want to do a certificate in Treasury fundamentals, this is $1,200. A little bit less than the CTP. Certificate in Treasury, which is a very technical one, which is probably the next one you want to do, is around $4,100 already. So we're slowly going up. If we're looking about AMCT, we're looking at $4,700 to do the AMCT certification. Now, that sounds a lot, and it is a lot, but we'll talk about, I think, later about what kind of, how will you pay for this? Exactly. Remember, the 4 people in the Netherlands that study at the Vrije Universiteit in Amsterdam, the Free University, who get their registered treasurer qualification, they have to pay $22,500 for an RT certification.
Wait, so when you say Vrije Universiteit, my very little Dutch knowledge tells me that it's free university. It doesn't sound free at all.
The people are free. That's it. Exactly. It's the freedom of Amsterdam. Yeah.
And that's
but as you know, freedom has a cost.
That's very, very true. But that's a certification at a double that will only really be recognized in the Netherlands, or will you be able to live?
Yes. It could be recognized anywhere, really. It's just the knowledge and how widespread people are aware of the registered treasury certification. I'm sure it could be people in Germany and Belgium know about it as well, potentially. But that's it. Yeah.
Wow. And so those are the training, the price for the Treasury certification, the training material. If you want, for instance, to look at a training institution in the US to help you study for your CTP, I guess there is training, right?
There will be an additional cost. So you have to anyway pay the AFP. So that's already included. That will always be. And then, of course, you need to pay the trainer as well.
Helps.
And a third option is to study for yourself, but find a treasury professional, a treasury trainer that can be your coach during your training journey to really have weekly, monthly calls, and you'll be able to ask questions to somebody to really help you through the material, to make it more come to life, to give you more real life examples and to make it less dry in a way. So that's the third one. And that can be anyone. It could be a treasury trainer that is out there. It could be somebody in treasury that you know. It could be your boss. It could be anyone. And what I've also seen, sometimes when people take a treasury certification, there will be two people in the company who do it at the same time. So you can set up a little study group, which is much better than studying on your own.
Absolutely. And that's a good idea, actually. And so on top of this, once you have it, you have the cost of the yearly membership to the association.
Yes. Okay. Correct. Yes.
That's so. I think for the AFP, it's about $400 a year.
Mm-hmm. That's
for the ACT. What would it be?
It's almost the same. It's around between $300 and $450.
Okay. And so
also depends on the level of your certification. The higher you go, the higher the price.
Man, that's definitely a good business model. We don't want to make any enemies here. It's just I'm just very curious and interested. And would being a member of another treasury association, so say the EACT or any of the country treasury association, so the National Treasury Association, would that help you decrease the cost, or like say, hey, I don't need to pay for the ACT because I'm a member of the, say something, ATEB, which is the one in Belgium?
They don't have a double tax agreement in treasury associations, so no, it doesn't work that way.
That would be very treasury.
I would be very listed. Yes. Yeah.
Very fair. Okay, Chris, what are your tips and tricks and advice for managing these costs or finding funding support from the pocket of one person when you start your career? I mean, if you look at the treasury certification that is a bit advanced, let's say $2,000, $2,500, that's an investment.
A lot. So it's a lot.
What are the options out there? How is it usually paid?
The easiest way and the best way would be to just talk to your manager. Most good companies, good managers want you to get certified, and they want people in their team to be certified, and they will be delighted to sponsor you. Yeah.
Okay.
They might say, we think this is a little bit too advanced, you're too early in your career, or we do it later, maybe next year, we do it in your performance plan. Yeah. And good companies will always pay for you.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because they want their team to develop. And if you're keen, if your boss, if your company is keen on developing their team, they will be very keen to sponsor you.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think it's not a difficult conversation. If you will go to your boss and says, I want to grow, I want to develop myself, I want to learn, I want to expand my knowledge, and your manager should say, fantastic, I support you 100% in this. What do you want to do? And so forth. He might say, yes, I know you want to do CTP, but we have an all different qualification. We want you to do this one. They might have a preference, for example, but have that conversation, and they would say, why don't you start with the basic ones and we work our way up? So talk to your boss. It's the best one. That's one. But I know there are companies out there, especially outside Europe and North America, that will refuse to pay for professional development, and people will have to pay for themselves. Well, it's a shame, but that's how it is. But there are grants available. I know the ACT has certain grants as well for people from emerging markets to get a discounted fee. So there are programs available. So talk to your manager first. If they don't want to pay for it, then talk to the association and say, listen, I really want to take this. I have to pay for it myself. Yeah, and because the associations are not stupid. Yeah. They know that corporates normally pay for this, so the price can be a bit high. Yeah. So talk to them And there are grants available for people who have to pay for themselves.
Interesting. So I know that, well, I'm going to speak for myself. I know that in consulting, usually your overall package comes with a yearly budget for training and certification. And I would suspect in some, if not most of the corporates, you would have kind of the same agreement saying, this is the budget we can allocate per person for their development yearly in terms of training. And I know it's the case in France, but you also contribute to a yearly training budget, but like at the state level. It's not at the company level, but it's like...
Correct. You have the same in Holland now. Yes, everybody can spend or could spend €1,000 a year on personal development, personal training, for example. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that could definitely help fund, even partially, this kind of trainings.
One thing you have to think about strategically, though, if you want to take a treasury certification because you want to leave the company and escape and go to another company, when a company sponsors you, you normally have to sign an agreement. You have to stay for 2-3 years.
Indeed. And if you fail it, then you have potentially to pay for the course yourself, because that's also...
Or the re-exam. Very often they'll pay for the initial. They might pay for one re-exam, but then the following re-exams you might have. It depends on the company. There's so many variations available.
Well, that makes sense as well, right? It's a heavy investment, so that would make sense that then you ask something from your...
And the good thing as well, if your company pays and it's a good company, you will get study days off. So you don't have to take holidays to do the exam. You don't have to take holidays to study. Yeah, you can actually get allocated like 5 study days that you can just take off. Once again, depends on the company.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Are there alternatives though, Chris? Like, back to what you said at the very beginning of this episode, the Treasury certification is about developing and acquiring knowledge, but also showcasing it. Being able to say, hey, here is my stamp or my little title on LinkedIn. I have certifications. Are there any alternatives, like either in order to obtain similar skills or knowledge? So if it's not having it stamped, at least acquiring it, and then for it to be recognized. And it's a complete curious and candid question, because I don't know if there is such a thing, but does it exist?
From a certification point, no. The nice thing about certifications is you get a couple of letters behind your name on your business card and on your LinkedIn. Yeah, and those you cannot get anywhere else. So nothing beats experience. Yeah, so working in Treasury. You might do a Treasury certification because you now work in accounting or accounts payable and you want to move into Treasury. Yeah, then a certification might definitely make sense. But if you have a lot of experience, then that experience is very valuable, of course. But sometimes you want to stand out from the crowd. Yeah, there's so many people applying for jobs. You having that CTP, you having that AMCT really makes a difference. But if you don't have that, other things that can stand out, there's a lot of Treasury awards at the moment. Yeah, the ACT Treasury Awards, AFP Pinnacle Awards, Adam Smith Treasury Awards. There are so many. Yeah, so if you have a project in your team that's a really good project that you really did a turnaround, or you implemented the system, or you implemented global cash pooling, or working capital optimization, or your company did something awesome that you're very proud about, shout it out and recommend yourself. It's a little bit self-glorification. Look at me, but it does help. And if you have this, award, it looks nice on your CV. It looks nice on your LinkedIn. You get some posts online as well. So that will help. But it's a one-time exercise. And after 10 years, how valid is that award you won in 2007? How much is that still? Whether this certification, as long as you pay, as long as you do the professional certification every year, it's there. Yeah. And your knowledge will stay up to date.
Very cool. And so that all makes lots of sense. You cannot really replace what the certification brings. But in terms of courses, so you said nothing replaces experience. Could that be a thing? Like, could you be saying, look, I don't have any certification, but I've been working in Treasury for 20 years, specializing in whatever? That could definitely...
Of course, it's very valuable. It's extremely valuable. But we live in an AI world. Yeah, and a lot of recruitment is done by AI. And if the hiring manager, and if you are a treasurer, director of Treasury, you want to hire a new Treasury Analyst, junior Treasury manager, you will put in your requirements professional qualification, desired or preferred, and you put in CTP, AMCT. your robots will immediately throw out everybody that doesn't have either of those two.
No way.
Yeah? The sad way of living in an AI world. Right?
Indeed. There are some pros, but definitely some cons.
But if you don't want to do a certification, there's loads of other trainings around. Even the ACT, they do other training programs as well for 2-3 days. You have Euro finance trainings programs out there. There's a lot of treasury trainers and consultants like myself that do a lot of treasury trainings as well.
Perfect. Okay, so that's an interesting one. So what are the treasury courses and trainings out there that are not certifying, but that could definitely help someone gain technical knowledge and potentially say, okay, it's not a certifying training that I followed, but I've been to mention one of the one you referred to. I've been to the Euro Finance 3 days training, specializing in this. Will that be recognized somehow? And would you recommend people to follow those courses eventually?
You can. I mean, you can put it on your CV, but they're not certified. And I think the big thing is getting a 3 letters behind your name. Yeah, I think that really sets it apart. These courses are very good. Yeah. But then again, if you go to a 3-day course on any treasury subject from any treasury trainer, this could be up to $2,000 for this 3-day training. Yeah.
That's true.
And you just do a 3-day training. I mean, I remember I went to a training course of Swift, delivered by Swift to learn how Swift and Swift MT940s work back in the day when I was a Treasury Analyst. Very useful. Yeah, because that's what I needed at that stage. Yeah. And so it all depends.
What is the but, Chris?
It's just a one-off course.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no certification and
Yeah. And are companies willing to pay for those then? Is it the same scheme as for certifications? Could you say, hey?
Yes, they will, because they have this training budget. Okay. Most companies. Yeah. Most treasury departments have a training budget, and they can decide whether they give it on a certification or a separate training course. Yeah.
Okay. Very fair. So if self-study is available, because at the end of the day, even with the treasury certification, you will receive all those materials and training materials, and you will have to study yourself if you choose to go the way of having a tutor or a coach or just study yourself. If that's an option, and we're not looking at the treasury certifications anymore, what are the resources out there that you could recommend that help people develop their treasury knowledge? Like what is out there already on the market for several years helping that?
Well, they of course have to listen to the Corporate Treasury 101.
Yes, Chris. Okay, this is an end. Close. Thank you very much.
But there's so much out there now. There's a lot of information from the professional treasury bodies. They do a lot of research, and they do a lot of work on what's happening in the industry. Going to conferences is very good. If you don't go to the conference, read the write-ups of the conference or the slides, what other companies are doing. And there's a lot of treasury websites that do. You have Treasury Excel in the Netherlands. You have TMI. All these treasury websites that will provide you with loads of information.
Awesome. Yeah. And so those treasury associations, they also give you access to their websites.
They give you access to the website. You get a magazine from them usually. Yeah.
If you pay the yearly fee, but there are other websites out there that you can eventually go to. You mentioned some of them, TMI, Treasury Excel. I think Euro. There are plenty out there.
Yeah, plenty of them. Yeah. Even your bank.
Okay.
Talk to the cash management department. The transaction banking department of your bank. Yeah, they have a lot of reports, products, brochures. Yeah, on how virtual accounts works in their bank. They will have a lot of material, and the bank wants to sell. So if you talk to your bank and you say, "Hey, I want to learn about virtual accounts," they will be very happy to send you everything they have about virtual accounts.
Very cool. That's a nice tip. So we are getting close to the end, Chris. But if there was one treasury certification that you would recommend, which one would it be? What do you recommend to our audience?
That's very difficult.
Of course,
because it all depends on the circumstances of the individual. Where are they based? Yeah, is it in the US? Is it outside the US? In Europe, UK? What level of their career are they? Yeah, and there's a lot of different things. Do you want to be a corporate treasurer, or do you want to do something more wide like FRM we mentioned. Maybe a certificate in fintech, which we haven't even talked about yet. There's a lot of certificates you can take about blockchain and whatever. It's very nice to have, even though they're outside Treasury, but much more important. So it all depends on the personal circumstances. But if you push me, and I see you are pushing me,
I would.
If you're living in North America,
yeah,
it's a CTP. It's the first. Yeah. After that, you can do anything else. If you are in the UK or Europe, you should aim towards AMCT of the ACT. If that's too far out, then get some of the smaller ones from the ACT as well. And the smaller ones from the ACT as well is also good to test the waters. How good am I in studying on my own? How do I like it? Yeah. And if we ace those earlier certifications, you can easily move on. Yeah. But at least you have something. So that would be my recommendation.
Awesome. And I was suspecting that the answer would be difficult. Let's talk a little bit further about you, Chris. So you mentioned that you were giving courses and training. So what do you do exactly in the space of Treasury trainings?
I'm the former global lead trainer for the CertICM, for the ACT. So I've trained a lot of students, a lot of corporates on that, and transaction bankers as well. And I also assist students that want to attain a Treasury certification in helping them, coaching them towards the whole process.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm very happy with this podcast because when you are, and I get this question a lot, where do I start with Treasury certification? Where do I go? There's so many out there. What do I do? What's the difference? And in order to help the Treasury community with that, there's now a website called treasurycertification.com, which lists all, if not almost all, Treasury certifications globally, so that prospective students can look at them, analyze them much better, look at the cost, and see which one would be best for them.
Perfect. We'll put the link in the description.
Thank you.
Great certification. Cool. Chris, we have a closing question before talking about links and anything you'd like to add. But So we've recently launched an AI Treasury Insight newsletter where we give updates on how AI is impacting already and will impact Treasury. And to link back to our topic, how is AI going to impact the world of Treasury certifications and training? And it's interesting because you already touched upon it several times in this episode with the AI robots checking if your room is free of any cheating devices. But if we look at the big picture and on top of this, how is AI impacting, if already, or going to impact this world we've just touched upon?
If we talk about learning and certification, ChatGPT is fantastic because you can ask it anything and it will give you an answer. So if there is a question, and even if you're sitting in your office and your boss is talking about POBO, you have no clue what POBO is, you can just ask ChatGPT and will give you a very detailed answer. So I think that's the way. You don't have to type it into Google and you get 65 links and you have to click on 5 links before you get a good answer. I think that's the real problem for learning. ChatGPT is fantastic. Assuming, of course, that it picks the right answer, because it's still cheap. It could still give you the wrong answer if the wrong answer is somewhere on the web. But I think that's the easiest way, because even if you're learning, if you go to a syllabus and you don't understand a certain concept, and it's explained in the syllabus and you still don't get it, you could actually go to ChatGPT or and just, can you explain to me what it is in simple terms? Yeah, and it will tell it to you in simple terms. So I think that's really how it's going to influence.
That's very cool.
And it could go that far that in the future you will have basically a conversation with a AI-generated robot, and you can ask questions. You have a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned this one. So one of the recent case study was how you can have a bot, AI powered, that helps you with all things Treasury information, obviously, but also when it comes to your Treasury policy. So you can basically ask it, okay, what's our policy when it comes to FX hedging? What kind of percentage, depending on the risk exposure, should we take? And it just feeds you with the information. You don't have to read this 80 to 150 long page document.
It could be even worse. You can go to ChatGPT, this is very bad for the consultants, and say, can you write me a FX hedging a policy whereby we hedge 40 to 60% of all our exposure over 6 months, and it will write you a policy.
That's true. It's won't be proof based and all checks. So consultant might still be needed. Some cases I have.
Consultants are still needed. Yes, yeah. But
that's true.
That could be.
That's a very good one. Chris, thank you so much for this amazing episode. It was great. Is there anything else you'd like to add to what we've discussed? Treasury certifications, alternative way of training yourself, exposure, AI, the different things you do. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think the most important message is if you are even slightly thinking about Treasury certification, talk to your manager immediately before your next performance review. And just tell them, I want to do it. And most managers will actually support you, will be very happy that you want to do this. It is an investment. It takes time. But if you play it right, and if you start early, many people delay it until too late. So when you're in the beginning of your career, don't delay. You're still in that study mode from university. You left university 2-3 years ago. Just go for it. Just do it, and your company will support you, and it will stay with you for the rest of your life. So it's very useful. And you learn a lot of new things, a lot of new concepts, and how Treasury works around the world. You learn a lot of things that you don't use currently in your job, so you can actually understand the guy sitting next to you or girl sitting next to you much better. You can have better conversations, which makes you all seem much smarter. So just go for it. That's it.
And you can have those 3 letters next to your business card and your LinkedIn profile. So if not for all this, at least for that.
At least for that. Yes, definitely.
Words to live by. Chris, thank you so much. If people want to know more about you or Cugavadi, where should they go?
LinkedIn. Link in with me on LinkedIn, of course. Go to my website, www.cugavadi.com. Link in the comments. Anything on Treasury certifications, you can go to treasurycertification.com.
Amazing. Everything will be in the description. Chris, thank you so much.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you.